Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets, powered by FTN, right here on Game Plus Network. Chris Meaney here with you. Appreciate you hanging out. And as you see, we are going to do another live best ball draft over at Underdog Fantasy. It is draft week. It really is. Next week, we'll be able to kind of turn our attention to the NFL season. Like, it's basically here. Next week, everything gets underway. Thursday Night Football, Rams and Bills. Tomorrow, we will step away from the live drafting, the underdog stuff, and we have a special guest on tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about the Houston Texans. I'm going to give my guys to draft. I mean, you can take it with a grain of salt, but these are going to be my guys. I just wanted to share some players that I have the most exposure to, players that I'll be looking to grab in drafts happening this weekend. And if you've been waiting it out for your drafts, I think most people really do. Of course, on our FTN Network YouTube page, we have a lot of just high stakes drafts that have already taken place, some best ball stuff, some industry drafts we've talked about on this show have already taken place. But I think most people wait until this weekend, Labor Day weekend, maybe the final couple days before the season started on a Tuesday and a Wednesday as well, to kind of, make sure that there's no injuries. You wait till the final minutes and then you draft away with all your buddies. So next week will be really turning our attention to the week. We'll dive into, some player props, some NFL props. We'll take a look at players who potentially were undrafted, in your standard Yahoo, ESPN, Fantrax, CBS leagues, things like that. We will cover high stakes ownership as well on this show. But those leagues are a little bit different. They're deeper. So a lot of players that could be on your waiver wire after your draft may not be. For example, we had some news here in the NFL over the past 24 hours. I just want to have people have the opportunity to jump in if they want to here on Underdog. So we have the link inside the description of our video on YouTube. If you're watching on Game Plus, unfortunately, you won't be able to jump over live, but we'll do this again. If you have any interest, maybe on Thursday, and for Friday's episode, we'll do another draft. Again, it's draft season here, and we've got a lot of positive feedback from yesterday. We had some viewers hop in the draft with me, and we were able to talk about some values and guys, who are dropping and falling, rising and falling, dropping and falling, and also dropping, rising, and falling in draft. So we're able to touch on that just a little bit, and we'll continue to do that here throughout the week. So if you wanted to take part in a draft later on in the week, follow me on Twitter at Chris Meaney, subscribe to our FTN Network YouTube page. It's absolutely free. And again, the link inside the description if people are hanging out here live. And as you see, I'm going to do a draft, and we can get in together. We could do, a $3 12 person. I was thinking about maybe this $5 12 person draft here. They're quick, 30 seconds on the clock, and away we go. But we'll hang tight. We'll break here in a second, give some people an opportunity if they want to take part and do this. But yeah, if you're watching on Game Plus, you can hop on over and subscribe. But so tomorrow we'll have a special guest. We'll talk Texans. I'll take a look at the early week 1 odds. I think we pretty much covered everything to get you set up for the NFL season. If you are over at Game Plus, you can hop on over to our FTN Network YouTube page. I have links all over inside the description of a lot of my videos. Team previews, covered every team, rankings, sleepers, busts, breakouts, undervalued for every position. We've really dove into, I think, everything, hopefully, to get you set up for your fantasy drafts. But I will present my favorite few targets, players I have exposure to, and then we'll look at the early week 1 odds. And, next week we'll be able to get into props. But we already have week 1, player props live on our FTN Network YouTube page, courtesy of the Prize Picks Prop Show, coming at you 3 or 4 times a week. Lauren Carpenter is going to have a Wednesday night live show, and she'll dive into her favorite props for Thursday night. Of course, we'll take care of you on Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday night. And of course, we'll have videos on Friday leading up to the weekend for, our favorite props. All that stuff will be here on the show. Set Bet Spike with Eric Young, and those Prize Pick videos. Look for those as well. We see Daily Handle in the house, college football, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, week 0 in the books, college football. Now week 1 this week, September 8th. It looks like Daily Handle is fired up. At least we have football prior to September 8th. Yes, college football. And you know what? A shout out to the crew over at FTN for the Prize Pick show and our free pick tracker over at ftndaily.com. If you're a big college football fan as well, I mean, I think the guys crushed it. I believe that I saw like 4 or 5 tickets, successful tickets, and a shout out to the college football show with Jake and Walter. And we have the college Prize Picks show on Friday. There's a couple different shows, like the college football super show is going to attack some of the main slates. There'll be a lot of DFS and some, some betting sprinkled in there, but it's just like a sit down and these guys just chop up college football, and it's pretty entertaining. And then the college show on Friday, courtesy of Prize Picks Prop Show, will be Michael Govier, Monotone Football. Those guys will get together every Friday morning, roughly 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and they'll do a quick little hit, 10 to 15 minutes. They'll give their favorite couple picks. So lots happening. It's an exciting time, right? August 30th here. We're going to turn the calendar to September, and we're going to get all the sports. All of them are going to be happening, right? The push for playoff baseball under the bright lights of October, college football, NFL. Heck, I know that there's some CFL fans watching, but training camps opening up in the NHL, in the NBA. College basketball will be right around the corner. PGA's kind of slowed down a little bit, but we're still going to be covering it, of course. Bogey Free will return September 15th. That is the next event on the PGA Tour. So it is an exciting time to be a sports fan. There's no question about it. And this is an exciting week as well, especially if you're a fantasy football fan with drafts and things like that. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll get into a draft, and we'll get into a couple moves that have happened, right? The Eagles picked up, I think, a pretty good safety today from the Saints, a nice defensive back. Kenyon Drake has a new home. Sony Michel is looking for a new home, and Laviska Shenault, just a couple years removed from, what was a strong draft at the wide receiver position. Now he has a new home. So we'll talk about all that and more here on Mean Streets. Keep her locked.
I can't say enough about what we've got going on over at FTNBets.com.
At FTN Bets, your bankroll can be profitable. With the FTN Bet Tracker, you can tell your favorite experts across all sports, including the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball.
Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. I'm your host, Chris Meaney.
And with our premium content, you can take your bets to the next level. Only $49.99 a month. Use the tools the pros use at FTN. Our betting models run over 100,000 simulations of every game, with sides and totals in the NFL, the NBA, and more. Use the home run predictor to see who'll hit a bomb deep Our NFL player projections will make you a DFS king. And the FTN Prop Shop always finds the best odds for your player props. All tools, projections, and models are powered by FTN Data.
Welcome back in. As you see, we're all set up here at UnderdogFantasy.com. Those unfamiliar with this type of format, best ball draft and forget it. You don't have to worry about waiver wire stuff. Oh man, the hassle on a Tuesday evening. You know, you're playing in multiple fantasy leagues. Tuesday evening, you're scrambling to get those waiver wire bids in. That's fine. I still like those type of leagues, but this one is draft and forget it. And watch your points pile up. Promo code FTN. They'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. We have best ball rankings over at FTNFantasy.com. We also have rankings for your half point setting, your tight end premium, your PPR, your old school standard, no points for a reception, super flex leagues, all that good stuff. Ratcliffe, as you know, the number one ranker in the game last year. So my rankings, his, Nelson Sousa, Vlad Sedler, high stakes players, all available over at FTNFantasy.com, plus tons of content, team previews. If you like articles, and I mean, my goodness, we got you covered. If you like video stuff, we got you covered there as well. We also have podcasts available for free, all kinds of stuff over at FTNFantasy.com. 40 plus tools, access to Discord, start and sit stuff, split tools, pace of play. It's all there for you over at FTN Fantasy. You can use the promo code Meaney, save yourself 20%, and you will have that package for 12 months. So you'll also get the draft kit for next year. Giddy up. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still here this year. A couple things I wanted to get to. In fact, maybe we'll just do this now. We'll do a $5 here daily handle. Get in this if you got some time. Join us here. You see the link there popping up. You got some time to get in here. Willie Snead released by the 49ers. You forgot that guy was hanging around. Daily Handle has all the news for us. So let's enter this. Give you a little bit of a feel, right? So it shows you 3 of 12 right now. These will fill up pretty quickly. You got first place breakdown 32, $17, $5 for third. So yesterday we did the Pomeranian 4, right? It was $100,000 in prizes, $20K to first place, $3 entry. You can do 15 max, no rake. That's a really good contest, and it already filled. Like it opened up yesterday and it closed by the end of the night. And it was, I don't even know. I feel like there was like 50,000 people on that. Okay, so this one you get the half point. It's like a half point PPR here. Half point for a reception. You see the roster: quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. So you could go a couple tight ends if you want. And, if you got 2 tight ends that finish higher than, a few of your wide receivers, it'll be in that scoring for the week. That's set up. It's just, your best performers for the week. So let's get into this. We'll do GM King, West Coast Rise and Shine, Deesh in the house. Let's do this. $5 one, 12 people. We'll see, waiting on 7 people, and we'll just kind of hang out here for a minute and talk about some news in the NFL. If you guys are looking for some MLB picks, I could try to hit in one of the commercial breaks my thoughts, but FTN Bet Tracker is your friend. You have the FTN betting package. You have all the picks across all the sports from everybody over at FTN. That's right. You're going to get NFL. Be with you until that World Series is run. College sports included in there. Heck, NASCAR picks, PGA picks, and of course, I'll be giving some NHL picks roughly 5 weeks from now. And I'm super excited about the NHL season. Once the NFL season starts, I kind of turn my attention a little bit to the NHL. Of course, I'll never forget the NFL, but we will do some previews. Set bet spike bats. We'll be giving some NFL stuff as well. And then Dango Betselli will be here before you know it. We'll be doing some NHL team previews and a couple of these drafts as well. So we're still waiting on 6 people. You can see here the ADP gives you a little bit of a feel, right? People are putting their money on the line. I honestly would rather look at this ADP and the NFFC high stakes leagues for ADP as opposed to maybe your league with I play them too, Yahoo and CBS and things like that, but I don't think that that's a true feel in terms of ADP. I really don't. Guys are buried down draft boards there, and for the most part, those drafts haven't even really taken place. Guys in high stakes and underdog, we've been drafting here, since the NFL draft, just minutes after that finished. I mean, Damien Pierce was 11th, 12th round pick. Now he's going in the 7th. Medi was in the house, hopped in late today, but still made the queue. Perfect timing. Okay, you're in here. Are you in? We got you. We're still waiting on 5 more people. If you want to get in and you're checking here live, it is the $5. So we're waiting on 5 more people. But I do have some news and notes that we could address here in this block. Starting with the latest, I guess. This is not really like a fantasy news note, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson traded to the Eagles. A lot of great defensive backs in New Orleans and the Saints. I think they could afford to do this one. Daily Handle. I'm in the $5 NFL 12 people. So if I get out, I don't know if I'll be able to get back in. 12 people, Daily Handle, 12 people, just to answer that question there. $5, 12 people get you in here. You should see, if you check the info, that we're waiting on 4 people. 3 people now. So maybe you are in, good sir. Okay. So a good get by the Eagles. I'm not going to sit here and completely be a homer. People who know me know I follow this team. I'll tell you, last year I thought it was going to be atrocious for them. I'm straight up, I'm honest. People say that I'm a homer about everything. I called the Habs to win the Stanley Cup 2 years ago. It was a long shot bet. They lost in the finals. It was because of the North Division. It was a weak division. I thought that, I'll be honest. I thought that they could maybe avoid the Leafs and somebody would knock out the Leafs, and the Leafs had so much issues in the playoffs that they could maybe get by. I thought there was good value. And they got by. They got to the finals. We were able to hedge Tampa. The following year, I had the Habs as one of the worst teams in the league. We easily took the under on the 90 points. It's not everything is like, oh, wow, I follow this team, so I like this team. But I really like the direction the Eagles are going. I thought they had one of the best off seasons in the NFL. I thought they had a really good draft. Now they get Gardner-Johnson. They got Hassan Reddick. They got James Bradbury, A.J. Brown. So we're just about set to go here. This is great. Looks like I am picking in the 11th spot. So it looks like maybe another Devontae Adams for me. This is kind of how I've been going about my drafts. Are you in, Daily Handle? You can't get it done. Okay, that's Ontario is not available. I did not know this. Pretty soon. It's unfortunate because I know a lot of people watching in Ontario and Anthem Sports Entertainment. I thought that you could do this, but my apologies. Maybe we'll do something else for Thursday and Friday to get some other people involved here. But Medi is in, and we are set to go here in just a little bit. But I said last week that the Eagles, their odds to win the division, they wouldn't stay at plus 170 for long. I checked this morning, they're plus 150. I think, with this addition, they may go to like plus 130, plus 120. I think they've closed the gap on the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have lost some pieces, Amari Cooper, pieces on the offensive line. I still think that they're a really good squad and they will compete for sure. They probably win 10 games or so. And I don't think the Eagles I don't think that they're Super Bowl caliber, but 28-1, I think, is pretty good odds if you're looking for a long shot. The NFC is completely top heavy with the Bucs and the Rams. I think those two teams have a clear path. And then after that, I think it's pretty wide open. You're going to have the Cowboys, you're going to have the Eagles, you're going to have the Saints, maybe the Vikings knocking on the door for a playoff spot. But man, other than that, I don't really think that I know that the Packers, I kind of just gloss over them. They're going to win the division. They're going to make the playoffs, but no Devontae Adams. This is a team that couldn't get it done with Devontae Adams. Couldn't beat Jimmy Garoppolo at home, at Lambeau. It's just not a team that I really believe in come playoff time. So I think that's a sucker bet. If you're looking for a long shot, I think the Eagles at 28-1. Laviska Shenault to Carolina. I don't think he's going to have a ton of fantasy relevant, but I think he's been a good buy low in dynasty leagues. He's like 100 targets last year. A change of scenery for him. Carolina, I think he could potentially be the number 3. I wouldn't be shocked if he moved past Robbie Anderson. Terrace Marshall, I like as a player. Second year. Let's see if he can pick up the playbook a little bit easier this year. Kenyon Drake is now a member of the Baltimore Ravens, so that's a crowded backfield in Baltimore now. Gus Edwards on the PUP list, going to miss at least the first 4 games. J.K. Dobbins is going to be on a pitch count to start the season. You got Mike Davis there as well. Plus, you have a rushing quarterback in Lamar Jackson. So I think a good real-life move for the Ravens. They dealt with a lot of injuries last year. They didn't really address the running back position through the draft. So I thought maybe they were feeling okay about JK and Gus, but clearly they're not. So they bring in Kenyon Drake, who spent 1 year with Las Vegas. And then Sony Michel was let go by Miami. So that clears things up a little bit. You feel a little bit better about Chase Edmonds. I think you feel a little bit better about Raheem Mostert as a guy that you can take a little bit later on in your drafts. Maybe we'll take them today. Is like I tend to avoid running backs here in these drafts early and often, but I won't today. Yesterday we tried a hero RB strategy. I think it worked out okay for us. We took a running back here. I think it was Alvin Kamara in the first couple rounds. So Adams goes ahead of me. That's fine. I will. I'll go another way here. You know what? I'm going to take Saquon. This is maybe I can get Saquon after. I'll go CD Lamb. I'm always all over the place here with these drafts. Decisions. Yesterday I showed you Hero RB. Let's see what a draft could look like going RB. Let's do that. I'll give you a little bit of a different feel here. Mark Carr in the house. I'll have to set up an account for next time. Absolutely. Use that promo code FTN. They will match your first deposit, and we will try this again. If you guys want, I think, like I said, we had some positive feedback. Didn't get Saquon. That's the thing. If you feel really good about a guy, you take him. What's the difference? Like 4 or 5 picks he goes. But I will continue this strategy of running back. Just make sure that we don't have Swift on the same buy, and we do. I don't think it's the end of the world, but it's enough for me to maybe go another way here with Alvin. I'll do Alvin. I don't want to have 2 backs here because I'm not going to touch the running back position for a little bit after this. So I didn't want to have 2 backs there on the same bye week, and is with Henry and Swift as bye week 6. But man, I really like Swift this year. Full point setting, we probably would go with Swift for sure. A guy is probably going to catch another 50 plus balls as long as he can stay healthy. So as I said yesterday, we did this. We did the strategy of hero RB. We just hacked the running back position in the first 2 rounds, and then we hammered home wide receivers. Tried to get an elite tight end in there, didn't work out. But I think that's the strategy. You could take other strategies. I mean, it's kind of funny to hear hero RB, all the 0 wide receiver, all these different strategies, the dead zone RB. Like, it's silly. Like, I feel like Twitter made that up, the RB dead zone. And it's just, I don't know. Is it a thing? Potentially. But, if you look at draft boards, you do see, like, there's ranges from round 5 to 7 where there aren't a lot of running backs taken in that range. People don't want to pull the trigger at that point in drafts, and I don't really blame them. But so today we will try to have 2 alpha running backs, and we will we'll switch gears to wide receivers here. So yeah, Lamb chop, Steely Hand. I always think about CeeDee Lamb. He should get a lot of targets here this season with, as I mentioned, Amari Cooper gone here. So this is how the first round shaped up. No real surprises here. Jonathan Taylor, CMC. I've seen that in most drafts. Little CMC, Jonathan Taylor. Seen some Justin Jefferson. I think our guy George went JJ on Set That Spike is the first overall pick. Amari Cooper, Jamar Chase. It's typically how the first 5 go. And I've been saying this a lot this season. If you could pick anywhere in drafts, why not take the first 5? You know that you're getting an elite player in those first 5 picks. And I think there is. That would be the first tier for me. And then you get into the second tier. I do like to be set up at the end of the first from, 8 to 12. And we'll talk about why once we get into rounds 3 and 4. I just like the way the board shapes out in round 3 and 4 and even 5. Like there's some targets that I like in that range. But Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler. Najee Harris returned to game form over the weekend. It came out that he was battling Lisfranc sprain on his foot. Not great. Not what you want to hear. The timetable for that is 4 to 6 weeks, but that's why we hadn't seen him for quite some time. So he was recovering. Maybe this is something he battles through the entire season. Maybe he doesn't lead the league in touches. I can't really see anybody stealing too many touches from him on that roster. So Najee, no worries here. From this user, he picks him with his 7th pick. Austin Eckler, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams. I probably would have gone Adams. Adams is the guy that I own the second most here, an underdog. The other one is Alec Pierce, actually, late round flyer. But I've been getting a lot of Adams because I live in this. I just been kind of, when I start these drafts in the 9, 10, 11 range, I've just been taking them. I think he's a stud. I'm not worried at all. There could be a bit of a drop off in terms of production, slightly, of course, from Rodgers to Carr. But you guys know I like Carr. I think he's an accurate quarterback, and I think he'll hone in on his number 1 wide receiver. And then Derrick Henry, to me, Travis Kelce, Saquon, Alvin Kamara. Yeah, if I can go back, I probably would have did a Saquon. A Saquon Alvin start is pretty significant. But let's go with the guy that has been opposed from last year, has been staying on the field. Saquon, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones. So we get a couple teams here with running back, myself, and Eckler and Jones. But for the most part, it's a wide receiver, running back start for everybody, and 2 people with a tight end and running back start as well. And Travis Kelce, Saquon, and then Justin Jefferson, Mark Andrews, Michael Pittman. That's pretty good. That's kind of how I started my draft yesterday. I believe I went JJ, Tyreek Hill, Kyle Pitts, Michael Pittman, something like that. I think it was a start that I certainly like. So I'm on the clock, or I'm on deck here, and then we'll make these 2 picks and we'll go to break. So we'll turn our attention to wide receivers, just get you a little bit of a feel. So, right, you go running back, you're looking at some of these guys as your number one. It's not ideal. Pitts is gone there. I would consider him. Allen Robinson, Terry McLaurin. These are guys that I like. Sutton obviously went. So I'll do Allen Robinson here in this spot. I think ideally my strategy, the ones that I want to take in my home leagues, is I got to get a running back in the first 2. I got to go running back or wide receiver, or wide receiver or running back. I tell you, I just don't really like the running backs outside of the top 20. I don't. There's just so many questions. We get into them here at this range. This is why I addressed it. On the board here, there are some I like. I don't mind ETN. I think there's value with Zeke, even though I have some concerns about the offensive line. I'm not sold on Breece Hall. I don't really like the situation there. I like Cam Akers. Dobbins has to take a bit of a step back here now. AJ Dillon is a guy I like. Other than that, we're like, it's not fantastic. Judy's gone. I'll take Gabe. I'm in on Gabe. I do like Hollywood as well, but I will go Gabe. And we'll break. We'll break and we'll dive into, we'll continue this and we'll talk through some values and things like that. So hang tight. Mean Streets will be back on Game Plus Network in a couple. Welcome back in. Chris Meaney here as we are live drafting on Game Plus Network, UnderdogFantasy.com. Best Ball Life draft season. It is here, and we are just over a week away from week 1 of the NFL season. Bills and Rams. Kind of feeling the Bills. We haven't seen Stafford all that much in preseason. He's dealing with that elbow. Bills are feeling themselves. I really think that should be a fun game, though, to start this season. So we are drafting, as I said, promo code FTN. If you're looking to be part of the Underdog family, they'll match your first deposit and you can do some drafts. You can also do, some baseball drafts for tonight's slate, tomorrow's slate, things like that. Draft players for that slate. They have props available as well if you're into that, and NHL drafts. And of course, NBA will be here before you know it. be doing some drafts on their site as well. So I am coming up here. As I mentioned yesterday, tried a hero RB strategy. This one, I went running back off the start. Going to kind of, forget about it for a little bit here. And, it's not the same sort of feel. I don't love it. Honestly, I think, as I said in the last block, starting running back, wide receiver, I think that's the way I'd like to go. And maybe I forget about running back for a little bit. And then you get into this part of the draft and there's still some guys. AJ Dillon just went. I think even if you went, one running back, a bunch of wide receivers, or a bunch of wide receivers and a tight end, in your first few rounds, getting a Cam Akers, getting an AJ Dillon in round 5, I think is a good way to start. It's not too bad at all. I'm going to go back to wide receiver here. Darnell Mooney's a guy that I don't mind here. He should be a target hog. I actually like a lot of these guys. Elijah Moore, Adam Thielen, touchdown machine. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is in for a breakout season. But I will go with Darnell Mooney here. And that's another thing I wanted to address, and we kind of did yesterday. Mehdi says he's working as he does this draft today. He's in the 6th hole, and he's going to have to listen to the analysis later. You are hardcore, sir. I love it. Don't get caught doing this draft at work. Make sure you're all good there. Quarterbacks, what do we got? Take a look at quarterbacks that are available. There's Trey Lance. So yesterday he went in the 5th. A little rich. We'll see where he goes today. You see the ADP of 70. We're here in the early 60s. He probably will go still fairly early in this draft. Cam Akers is still sitting there. And you know what? Maybe we'll do this and we really will forget about running backs the rest of the way. Maybe we'll do Akers. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it and see how this is why these drafts are great. And, better than doing mocks, as I mentioned earlier with the other, sites out there. Nothing against them. I just don't think you get a true ADP, true feel. And everything in your draft doesn't have to be ADP. I would suggest you having your own rankings. You could take our rankings. You could take Jeff Ratcliffe's cheat sheet. You have your rankings, projections in your head. And that's what you go by. You have a feel of ADP because there'll be some people in your draft that will just draft based on ADP. They will take best player available. They won't take a guy a little bit early because of their ADP. They think they can get him. I think you have your rankings, you have your projections, and you go by that. It's okay to be aggressive. Don't worry about maybe reaching on a guy. I think it's better to start runs than to finish runs. Nothing's worse than you miss out on the quarterback run or the tight end run. Usually when those runs happen, I don't like to finish it. It's just like, okay, that run is done. I will just attack it a little bit later on in the draft, try to find value that way. But ultimately, I wouldn't worry too much about ADP. If there's a guy that you like, you go and get him. There's nothing's worse than finishing the run, but also waiting a couple picks or saying, I'm up in 7 more picks. I won't get this guy. And then all of a sudden it's like, you miss out on him and it kind of bugs you. In these drafts, I've been reaching at times to get my stacks. It's kind of what it's all about here. I think that's the strategy. You want to maximize your upside. If you have a guy like Joe Burrow and he tosses 4 touchdowns in a game and you have a Higgins and a Boyd and these guys are getting 3 of the 4, I mean, you're in for a pretty big week, right? I mean, you're getting a ton of points just from that game alone. So Damien Pierce, wanted to keep an eye on him. Yesterday he went in the 7th, so he's creeping up a little bit, which each day he creeps up a little bit higher. I still think it's fine. I really do. Any higher than this, it might be a bit rich. We're drafting now at cost. We were getting value with Damien Pierce all summer, but this is what happens, in fantasy. Strong preseason, strong showing. It's just a lot of people are just missing out. Like, I guess they were feeling Marlon Mack or Rex Burkhead a little bit more than they probably should have. And I'll be honest, I have some shares of Marlon Mack. I still think he's a great, last round pick as a dart throw. You never know what's going to happen in the NFL. I mean, Damien Pierce could miss a couple assignments. All of a sudden he's in the doghouse. Injuries happen in the NFL and they have a couple of veteran backs there in Mack and Rex Burkhead. But we should have saw this coming, guys. Like, Pierce is the younger back. He's fresh. He was great in the Senior Bowl. He had a good showing there. And he doesn't really have a lot of competition. The offensive line is not awful. It is the Texans after all. They're not going to live inside the red zone, but I like that Pierce could be maybe a bell cow back that we're getting outside the top 20 at the running back position. I think he has the upside to be a low-end RB2. I really do. A top 24 running back. That's how I have him ranked, as a top 25 running back. So I'm fine with this price. And even though the Texans won't live inside the red zone, let's be honest. This is a loaded AFC. This isn't a team that's going to be able just to run. They're going to have to change their game plan. They're going to have to chuck. They're going to have to throw. I think Brennan Brendan Cooks. I think Nico Collins. I think Brevin Jordan. I think these guys are all really good targets, despite the Texans maybe finishing the season as like a 4-win team. Like if they get to 4, that's might be a good year for them. Let's continue here. I'm up in a couple, I do believe, and then we can break again. Yeah, I'm 5 picks away. Try to keep the balance of this show, of course. So what do we got here? We can kind of recap. We're into round 7. It started Devontae Smith, Antonio Gibson. So Gibson falls to the 7th. He has been falling to the 8th and the 9th, but now with the Brian Robinson news, we're just unsure. Great that he had successful surgery. My goodness. Just don't know. Kind of speculating if he's going to be back again. I would say we don't see him until December, but we may not see him at all. But this has opened up an opportunity for Antonio Gibson to get that job back because he certainly had lost it in the preseason. Gibson, Tony Pollard, Elijah Mitchell, Josh Jacobs. This is this like dead zone RBs that nobody really wants. Hunter Renfrow, DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm on the clock. Oh, I'm on deck, so I got to kind of pay attention here. Schultz is a guy that I like quite a bit. Could go that route at the tight end position. Going to forget about running backs, obviously, for quite some time, but just want to take a look. Ramondre's a guy that I like as a breakout. I still think that there's value here with Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary in a crowded backfield, value there with Melvin Gordon. So there's still some guys, right? There's a lot of value there. I mean, Cooper keeps falling, right? Is not a sexy pick. Sky Moore is a guy that I have a lot of shares of. I think I'm top 5 for me in terms of exposure, but I will go the Dalton Schultz route. This is pretty late for him. I'm actually pretty happy about that. I have him as my 4th ranked tight end. I have just after Pitts. Actually, I have Andrews, Kelsey, Pitts, and then Schultz for me. I would rather have him over Waller and George Kittle, especially the fact that I am spending a 7th round pick on him as opposed to a 5th on Waller and a 6th on George Kittle. Trey Lance, I got to write him down because I do want to talk a little bit about Lance and the 49ers situation. So I'll go to wide receiver and try to get my 4th. I'm really going to hammer home wide receivers here. Again, this is not a sexy pick with Amari Cooper, but my goodness, I think I got to take it. I think I got to take Cooper here, take the value. Volume and opportunity is king in fantasy football, and I'll tell you why after the break. Keep her locked. Welcome back in. We are halfway through round 9 here. We have our guy Mehdi on the clock. I actually really like your team. So you can listen to the analysis after work if you want, but I think you know what you're doing over there, good sir. You joined us yesterday as well. You went Delvin Cook with the 6th pick, and then you took the hero RB approach, and this is what I like. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I think this is the strategy to take. You attack the running back position either the first pick or the second pick, and then you just go wide receiver. You go wide receiver for a bit, and then you attack the running back position a little bit later on as well. So you went Dalvin Cook with pick 6, CeeDee Lamb, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I hope you got Russell. I love the Sutton pick. And this is what I was thinking. I love to be in, 9, 10, 11 range in the first as well, because when guys come back, you can get your hands on either Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, like 2 of the following 5 wide receivers I would love to have in the second or the third, the third and the fourth round. Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, Gabe Davis, Hollywood, Cortland Sutton. Like, give me 2 of those 5 with an alpha wide receiver, a Diggs, an Adams, a CD, and an alpha running back. And I think that you're on your way. And I believe that you are as well. Revisit your team in just a second. I really like the way that you are going there. Good, sir. I will take Stafford, I think, just to kind of get one stack here. I had Dak there. Dak just went a couple picks ahead. I'm pretty thin at wide receiver. I'm not really loving this build all that much by going so running back heavy. We'll get the guy with the bum elbow there that they have to keep an eye on all year. I think he's gonna be fine. He's out there chucking bombs. I saw him last week. He's chucking 60-yard bombs over to Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson. It seems like a pretty good connection. I don't love the fact that he got Cam Akers with him. He can catch the rock a little bit. I talked about it yesterday. It's not an ideal strategy, I don't think, to go that route. What do we got here? Claypool, Jones, Wilson. I do like Palmer. We're getting pretty deep here in terms of wide receivers. I will pass on a lot of those guys. Let's see. Can we go Joshua? Can we do a little Komet? Let's do a little Komet. Let's try something different here. Let's go Komet. We've got 2 tight ends and Schultz and Komet. Probably not needed, but I think, since I'm lacking at the wide receiver position, my reason for Komet, I'm going to try to get Fields, see if he hangs out. We get a little Chicago stack there, but Claypool is, the 2, maybe the 3 in this offense, some uncertainty at the quarterback position. Julio Jones, what's the best case for Julio here? Like, it's nice that he's on the field. He's wearing a number, like a random weird number. I think it's like 45, something silly like that. Yes, Tyler Johnson was released from the Bucs, but there's still a lot going on in Tampa, right? Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Russell Gage and multiple tight ends. And Leonard Fournette was 3rd in the NFL in catches. So what's Julio really going to bring them? It's a good real life move. Hopefully he can stay healthy and he can provide them something come playoff time. But he's like 4th, 5th option. Joshua Palmer is like 3rd, 4th option, although I do like him. And if he's hanging around, he probably won't be. I would consider him. He should go pretty soon. Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. These guys are, some deep dart throws. There's some wide receivers I could get my hands on maybe a little bit later on that I think could be okay for me. But I decided to grab the number 2 target in Chicago. And I do believe that's Cole Kmet, as I have Darnell Mooney here as well. So we'll see if we can get a mini Chicago stack. It's a cheap stack. It's not a stack that's going to score a lot of points. Been encouraged with Fields' performance in the preseason. He averaged 56 rushing yards per game the final 7 weeks of the season. His rushing yard prop is at 500. So Vegas is thinking he's going to get 500 on the ground. If he gets 500 on the ground, or if he had, half a K on the ground last year, that would have been good enough for top 4, I believe, at the quarterback position. So you're coming with a little bit of a floor. And if he can hook up with Mooney and Cole Kmet, just pepper those guys with targets, because there's not a lot going on. This will be a run for his team, a lot of outside zone runs, I do believe, with Montgomery, with Khalil Herbert, with Justin Fields. But other than that, what are we looking at here? There's nobody that's healthy outside of Mooney and Kmet. Velus Jones is not a threat. And Fields just went. Maybe they're watching it, hanging out with me. Freda said, no chance you are getting Justin Fields there, good sir. So that's kind of the risk that you take. You don't get your stack, and now I'm kind of stuck with Komet and Mooney. But these things happen. You just kind of have to adjust and move on. Bucks released Tyler Johnson. Eagles released Carson Strong. Yes, Carson Strong actually had a pretty good preseason game, but yeah, I got Gardner Minshew as the backup there. So we're coming up here again, give you guys a look at the draft board. We'll make a couple picks, and then we'll take another break here. So I didn't end up finishing Medi's team here. So he just picked Alberto. So you got the full-on Denver stack. You went Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, A.J. Dillon. I love you. I think you were excited that I picked him yesterday. You got Russell Wilson, Hunter Renfrow, Kareem Hunt, Tyler Boyd is a great value, Han Dotson, and then Albert. Oh, I really like the look of this team. You are full-on Broncos, and it's not a bad stack. I would suggest, honestly, grabbing a stack from that division. There's going to be shootouts. You can get KC stacked pretty easily. Like, Kelsey's going to go in the first, but you can get Mahomes And then you can get like Sky Moore, MVS, Juju. You can certainly get 2 or 3 pieces of the Chiefs. The Broncos are certainly affordable. You got the Chargers, a little bit more expensive. Keenan and Mike Williams are going pretty early. So is Herbert, but you can get Palmer later, Gerald Everett. And then the Raiders are definitely affordable with Adams in the first round. And then you can get Derek Carr late. You can get Waller, Hunter Renfrow. You kind of pick one of the two there, and away you go. So Joshua Palmer is still available to me there. I'll grab him. So like I said, not completely loving the look of this build. It looks like I'll probably only have, one stack with the Rams. Maybe I'll do Van Jefferson late. We'll see what happens there. Dak went, so I'm done with tight end. I could get a cheap stack in the Texans. I've been doing a lot of Brevin Jordan and Nico Collins and Davis Mills in there, but we'll make this final pick and then we will break again in just a little bit. Isaiah McKenzie is probably a guy that I'm going to pull the trigger on. That's another Buffalo Bill and another guy on a bye week in week 7. Alexander Mattison just went. There's some news that they're shopping him potentially. You know what? At this point too, like, let's just do Claypool, right? Like, sometimes you just have to take what the draft's going to give you, right? Again, you look at ADP. This guy's going as pick 110 on average. It took him 134. So, it's not like Cooper, Claypool. These guys aren't on my radar, but if they're going to fall 2 or 3 rounds past, then I'm going to take a shot on them. We'll take one more break. Actually, 2 more. Take another break. We'll dive back into this draft, and then we should be able to recap some of this as well. So hang tight. Welcome back in. We are live drafting here at UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code FTN. They'll match your first deposit. You could do some live drafts. This is a best ball draft. $5 entry, 12 people. You could do some $3 ones. You can do some larger ones if you'd like to as well. They have some props over at UnderdogFantasy.com. If you're a hockey fan, you can do some hockey drafts already. They have one live, and then NBA around the corner. You can also do daily MLB stuff over at UnderdogFantasy.com. We have a free prop pick tracker over at FTNDaily.com, giving some underdog plays as well as some prize picks plays. You can mix and match across all the sports here at UnderdogFantasy.com. So we are drafting. We are in near the end of round 13. I'm not liking the look of this squad. I think we've, for me personally, I knew what my strategy would be. In a lot of my home leagues. And as I said a couple of times in this show, attack the running back position early, get yourself a bell cow, maybe the hero RB strategy, and then really attack wide receivers. So I went the opposite route to give you a bit of a feel. Yesterday, we did the hero RB, had a lot of loaded wide receivers, a lot of stacks that I liked. And now here, In this draft, not so much, right? I'm kind of thin at the wide receiver position. I let some players fall here. Amari Cooper, Chase Claypool, pick 134 for Claypool, about 24 picks after his ADP. Amari Cooper, a round after his ADP as well. But, it's not ideal. I'm going to hammer home my fourth running back here. And that may be it. I may take a dart throw at the very end. Tyler Algier is a guy that I have a lot of shares. I just think he's in a pretty good landing spot, honestly. I think Cordell Patterson's a fine player. I think ultimately we'll look back and last year will be his outlier year. He's not a guy that I expect to have many games with 10 or 12 carries on the ground. He's going to be on the field a lot. They'll utilize him all over the field in the slot. He's going to catch some passes. The quarterback position, of course, has changed. It's not Matt Ryan. Credit on the Falcons for finding a way to use Cordell Patterson. He was really raw coming out of college. I think he high school is when he started to play football. He was basically a punt return guy in the NFL for the first little bit. I'm going to get my first share of Daniel Jones just for you, Tyler. Here it is. Daniel Jones. Does he have a bye week on week 7? He doesn't. This is getting ugly. At least got a little bit of rushing upside, right? It's a little bit of a reach, but we will try to get a couple Giants on the Kenny Golladay or something like that. It's gross. It's so gross, the Giants stack. But I missed out on a couple of my quarterbacks. It wasn't as aggressive. I needed to get Justin Fields. There was a couple others that I was thinking I would kind of pair up. Maybe Dak Prescott. Prescott went just ahead of me. I was thinking about that Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup a little bit later on in drafts, but that's why you do these, right? You have a little bit of a feel on how things could play out for you. I wanted to address Trey Lance with you guys. So Trey Lance, yesterday, it came out that Jimmy Garoppolo restructured his contract. He's now I think he's the highest paid backup now in the NFL. There's a couple ways that this could go. He's got a no trade clause, but he could approve a trade. It's just up to him. I think it's easier for a team now to acquire Jimmy Garoppolo. They wouldn't have to take guessing 20 plus million, with the trade. That's why he hasn't been traded. I mean, he had the offseason shoulder surgery. Yeah. Everyone knows that the Niners are trying to move this guy and they don't want to take on all that cap, all that money. So now it's restructured. It's restructured in a way where they could deal him. If, he approves it, a team could acquire him easily or easier. And also, they could just hold on to him, right? Because all Jimmy has shown us in the NFL is that he's a winner. He does win football games. It's not pretty. He doesn't blow you away with his performances, but he wins football games. He beat the Rams twice in the regular season. I went toe-to-toe with them in the NFC Championship game, almost, punched the Niners' ticket to the Super Bowl. I think he was probably the reason that they didn't, but he still wins a lot of football games. So, with that said, Trey Lance, I'll give you a look at the board here. Trey Lance went yesterday in round 5. His ADP in NFFC high stakes leagues since August 1st is 90. So we're looking at round 7 and 8 in those high stakes leagues. Where did he go here? In the 8th. So he fell compared to yesterday, but also this is kind of where he's been going. I think there's some risk in this pick now. And I have to bring this up with you guys because I've been a Trey Lance supporter. I've been a truther. I've been hey, this could be a league winner. I think he's undervalued, but he's picked up steam. In March and May, this guy was undervalued. He was going as quarterback 10, 12, 13. He was going in round 10, 11, and 12. Now he's been going in round 8. And I'm interested to see where he's going to fall in the next week or so. I don't think I can take him in round. I know that I can't take him in round 5, 6, 7. I don't think I can take him in round 8 either. We can go over the Niners schedule. It's soft to start. I think they go the Bears and the Seahawks. But after that, you're going to get the Rams. You're going to get the division. You got a couple tight games in there. Broncos, I think, are on the schedule. If this is a team that starts off slow and Trey Lance struggles, who's to say that they won't go Jimmy G? Who's to say that they won't play Jimmy G week 5, week 6, and that's it? Trey Lance, boom, you just wasted a pick in the 5th, 6th round. Is it worth the risk at that point? I don't think so. Not at the quarterback position. There are multiple quarterbacks that you could take late, and they could be top 10 quarterbacks, top 12 quarterbacks. Dak, Carr, Cousins, heck, Rodgers. I'm not in on them, but Rodgers, Fields, Trevor Lawrence. Bit of a red flag now, guys. We'll take one more break, and we'll be back here to wrap up Mean Streets. Keep her locked. Welcome back in one final time. And he just says he wouldn't have gone Albert O if he knew that KJ Hamler would fall to him. He is super Denver heavy, but that's kind of what you want to do, I think, in these drafts. I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't stack up like, all your quarterbacks. I'd like to leave with 3 unless I have 2 elite quarterbacks. I like to usually have 2 tight ends, maybe a third towards the end. If you have an elite tight end, maybe you don't need a third, but if you have a Komet and an Ertz, and then you probably need a third towards the end. Hooper just went here. Brevin Jordan's a guy that I certainly like. But I think, again, we've come kind of full close here. I feel like I've said the word again a lot on this show. Maybe we should have like a drinking show here of me saying the word again. It'd be trash on a Tuesday. But I think ultimately I have solidified what I want to do in most of my drafts. We've been showing you some different strategies. I think tomorrow or Thursday, rather, we'll go wide receiver heavy. I know we did the hero RB, but we'll do wide receiver heavy. Maybe we go like wide receiver, tight end in the first 5-6 picks, and then we see what our team will look like with those running backs. But I think you want to have some balance on your squad. You don't want to be avoiding all these positions. Going zero RB, I don't think is a successful strategy. I know that you and other people, myself, we've all seen it last year. Heck, you could have Justin Jackson, Rashad Penny on the squad, winning championships. These things happen. You have to be active on the fantasy football waiver wire. You definitely do. In this format, not so much. I think most times I see in high stakes leagues, these formats, the winning teams have stud running backs. They have a guy that they hit on from round maybe 5 to 8. One of those backs they just absolutely hit on. Last year could have been a James Conner, right? A Conner, you hit on James Conner. You had Jonathan Taylor. These guys, you had a lot of success with those 2 running backs. Most championship lineups I see, they have a bell cow back on there. I think it's very important to have a bell cow running back, and you'll have a lot of success, I do believe, that way. So I'm not really in love with this team. Henry, Kamara started off running back, Allen Robinson, Gabe Davis, Darnell Mooney, Cam Akers with another running back. My running backs are fine. Like, they're pretty good. They're actually better than most of my running backs in these drafts because, like I said, I typically avoid it from rounds 3 to 7. Schultz, Amari Cooper in here, Stafford, Cole Kmet, Joshua Palmer, Chase Claypool, Tyler Algier, Daniel Jones. Didn't really work out for me. I was thinking I would get, a Giants wide receiver, Wandell, and maybe Kenny Golladay, Zay Jones, Davis Mills. So I'll probably wrap up here. Brevin Jordan just went, but I'll get probably Daniel Bellinger to kind of pair up with Daniel Jones. I have a mini giant stack, but appreciate everybody hanging out with me here. No kickers, no defense on Underdog, Mark Carr. Make sure you sign up, promo code FTN, and we'll do this on Thursday, and hopefully a few more of you guys will join us. Hopefully you got something from this, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll take a break from the best ball. We'll have some picks and some things like that, and we'll revisit this on Thursday. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.